as soon as you get a novel style of attack that has been successful in this stage, every government around the world will be sitting going, right, let's add another piece into our contingency plans to make sure that we're looking for this and all the rest of it. The initial reports coming out to say that it was a cyber type attack that caused the lithium batteries to superheat and then explode. If we extrapolate that out, that would mean that no airline would ever take anyone with any mobile communication device on the aircraft ever, and there would have been an instant worldwide ban. So, there's a potential for panic with this around the world, and governments will be asking their airports and other places if the X-ray machines and the other scanning machines that are used would be able to pick up these sorts of things. So they'll want to understand the technology behind it. Yes, it will have people thinking hard about wider security issues. The businesses will be looking at it. One, to make sure that they can identify if anything like this happens. It will come out in public. Who the shippers were, where it's been moved, where they were manufactured, and all the rest of that. That will start to slowly creep out. The reputational damage that will do for those shippers will be catastrophic. I suspect it might put them out of business completely, because no one's going to use that shipping company if they can't control and keep security over goods that are in transit. So I think every private company that's involved in this somehow or other will be sitting and looking at what they have in place to monitor what's going on. There'll be lots of doors being closed, stable doors being closed after the horse is bolted. A terror group could do, probably not with the same sort of volume, but it certainly could do with a smaller number of devices, or other things that they put around the place. They sort of tampering with something that looks like an everyday object that people are using, and using that to then have an effect, whether that's a physical effect or a cyber effect, is not uncommon. We look at the Stuxnet attack against the Iranian uranium centrifuges. Try saying that if you've had a glass or two. They were isolated from the internet, but the Americans and Israelis, or the Israelis, managed to get this virus across the air gap and in, and they did that by altering USB sticks and scattering them around the place, and someone picked one up, took it into the office and plugged it into the machine. That is not uncommon. It's not uncommon for nation states and potentially large criminal/terror organizations to get spyware onto people's phones, where they can turn the microphone on, the camera on, and you don't know it. Getting slightly more sophisticated, getting explosives in, because that will have had to have been designed, manufactured, brought in a way where the devices could be disassembled quickly, these items put in and reassembled, knowing that they're going to work normally. There'd be nothing suspicious about it whatsoever. The packaging would seem as if it had been done, so get them properly repackaged takes a lot of resources. But a large number of our criminal organizations and a large number of our terror organizations, you have the potential capacity to do that sort of thing. It's counterintelligence officers across the world will be looking at it from a security perspective, examining different tenders that have gone out for different pieces of equipment, looking at the supply chains that are coming through there, making an assessment against those supply chains as to the potential for things to be interfered with. That's done already in many cases where things are coming into the military, nation states, so that people are confident that they haven't been tampered with from an electronic perspective or anything else. So there are ways and means of doing it. It will just redouble people's efforts into making sure that they are crossing their T's and dotting their I's properly whenever they're looking at this.
The challenge is going to be the quantity of the improvised explosive devices that are out there. The system's designed to detect explosives, and it does a pretty good job of doing that. Insofar as we know, we haven't had major aviation attack in a long time, fingers crossed. But you put so many into a system, and it just increases your chances of something getting through. It's it really becomes a numbers game at that point. So, even the best of technology and the best detector personnel out there, you put enough stuff through a lot of different areas at one point in time, something is frankly bound to get through, I would imagine. We don't know how many we're missing. The more we detect, the more we can presume that, okay, there's been misses in the past. We know that things get missed. There's no 100% detection, but it's hard to know how much you don't catch. So it's kind of like trying to determine how often someone doesn't break into your house because of a certain security measure you took. The bad guys just don't call us later and say, "Hey, I got this through. You should have done a better job." There's certain cybersecurity protections in place, but from receiving a standard signal, if you have Wi-Fi in the aircraft, you're going to receive that signal from the ground. There's technology in the plane itself which allows it to communicate with the tower, the cell towers on the ground, and it basically sort of modifies the signal so that the aircraft can receive it on a consistent basis. Otherwise, the thing hops from cell tower to cell tower, trying to hold on to a signal, which is why we traditionally haven't been able to use Wi-Fi. Now we have this technology. And I just saw that one airline out here has got a contract with Starlink to start using the Elon Musk satellite system. So anytime there's going to be any form of communication through radio frequencies from one point to another, there's always the possibility something can be sent along those radio frequencies. So I know when I travel, sometimes I'll use Wi-Fi, but a lot of times I'll just turn on the messaging, which means my phone can still send and receive messages. So unless there's some cybersecurity protection in place along certain frequencies that would somehow prevent that, which could be very difficult, because I would imagine in this case, qualifying that I'm not the cybersecurity or the radio frequency expert, but they probably send a certain signal out to call back a certain number, and that was what triggered the particular devices. And so through that coding of what they're sending out is the thing that actually triggered the device. The real question remains too is there enough explosives that you can put into a cell phone or a pager that would actually cause enough damage to penetrate the skin of an aircraft? And that gets into a whole other discussion as to the quantity of explosives. Are they above 10,000 feet, which the aircraft starts to pressurize? Are they placed next to the fuselage itself where the window is? So there's a lot of those dynamics that you have to take into account as well. We provide a high level of deterrence. There's never going to be 100% secure. The only way to prevent attacks on aviation is to not fly. Once you start flying, you introduce safety and security risks. There's always going to be an element of risk in aviation transportation, just as there is in ground transportation. So that element of risk is there, but we still have the safest aviation industry. It really is. We haven't had a major aviation accident in a long time. It's still considered the safest form of travel. And, there's kind of a saying in our industry, you're more likely to get in a car accident on the way to the airport or on the way home than you are getting into a plane crash. That said, I've been in a plane crash, so of a small airplane. So yeah, stuff can happen, but the chances of it are so minuscule that it's not something that a lot of people really should worry about, even though it's a justifiable worry, because we don't like things out of our control. And when you're in a car, you feel some sense of control because you have a steering wheel in front of you. When you're in an airplane, you have no control. You're in a metal tube, 35,000 feet, pressurized, going 600 miles an hour, and that can be a scary thing for anybody. So I don't think the anxiety of flying is ever going to go away for everyone, but by and large, I think most people are going to make their flights no problem from beginning to end. Like over the States, any given time during the day, we've got about 5,000 aircraft flying around that are in civil aviation, not even counting our general aviation fleets. And they get to their destinations just fine on a daily basis, and that's a lot of planes on a daily basis to be able to make their destination without any sort of huge safety related problem.